Top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. The latest and greatest from Catford's finest, Ellie Scotney.
Catford
Seems to have had a recent powwow with Matchroom impresario Eddie Hearn, saying great catching up with the main man Eddie Hearn and mapping out the road ahead with the team.
Unifications are in order.
Ellie Scotney, for me and my money, is just getting started, having recently obtained the IBF title from then champion Shernika Johnson of New Zealand.
Ellie's the real fucking deal.
Lived up to my expectations thus far, and in some ways exceeded them. The boxing clinic that she put on Maria Cecilia Roman, her stout victory over Shernika Johnson, she's very much living up to my expectations.
Catford.
Now that she is a champion, it's only right that she pursue the other champions, the other three champions at this weight. Yemi Mercado of Mexico, who holds the WBC title. Mayerline Rivas of Venezuela, she's got the WBA, and France's own two-time WBO champion, Sigaline Lafarve of La France.
Wow.
I would give Ellie Scotney very good odds to beat any one of these three fighters, any one of these three champions. You think about Yemi Mercado, a durable fighter and an experienced one.
I don't think Ellie would knock her out. Not much chance of that happening.
Ellie's not a power puncher, and Yemi Mercado, she's shared the ring with Amanda Serrano, of all people, up there at featherweight. If Amanda couldn't knock her out, I don't think Ellie knocks her out, but I do think Ellie can outpoint her decisively. I do think Ellie can outbox her. She's just a sharper fighter than Yamilet Mercado, who started out as a mid-range to inside brawler, but has developed into more of a boxer, more of a mover.
But she's still not fluid enough with that style, that adjustment, that I think she'd beat Ellie Scotney. I think Ellie's got faster hands and faster feet, shorter punches.
Perhaps you could give the edge in power and durability and experience to Yemi Mercado, but it's the areas that she's lacking that would cost her the fight. That Ellie Scotney throws shorter, sharper punches than she does. She's got more hand speed and more foot speed.
She's a much trickier target than Yamilet Mercado. I'd favor Ellie to win a points decision against Yemi Mercado. You think about Mayerline Rivas.
Strong puncher, one of the stronger punchers at this weight, one of the stronger and more experienced champions. I think she's very lucky to still be a champion, if I'm being honest with you. She recently defended her title against Argentina's own Nazarena Romero, and it looked a lot to me like Nazarena was well en route to knocking out Mayerline Rivas, but there was a clash of heads.
The contest was halted and it was scored a draw. It didn't look like a draw, but that's how the judges saw it.
Thus, Mayerline Rivas was allowed to hang on to her WBA title a while longer if she finds herself opposite the ring Ellie Scotney.
Catford.
You know, opposite the ring Nazarena Romero, Mayerline Rivas found out that she was outgunned, that for once, she wasn't the strongest puncher in the room. With Ellie, it would be a little bit different. With Ellie, Mayerline Rivas really would be the bigger puncher of the two and the more experienced boxer, but the boxer that's on the back nine. The boxer that's in decline.
Exiting her prime.
Just so happens that Mayerline Rivas has ties to Matchroom. It's my understanding that she may very well be a Matchroom fighter still. So it's a fight that can happen. It's a fight that can be made, and I would favor Ellie to win the fight because her punches are shorter and sharper than Mayerline's.
Because she's lighter on her feet than Mayerline, fresher than Mayerline.
Mayerline is a statuesque fighter for this weight, somewhat tall. Those long levers, I'm not trying to tell you it would be a walk in the park for the Catford woman, but it is a fight that I would favor Ellie to win. Now, Sigaline Lafarve, she's not a matchroom fighter. No ties to the promotional outfit. She's a two-time WBO champion, and like Ellie, she is an unbeaten fighter in her prime. Her style is a little bit more tricky than what you see in Yemi Mercado or what you see in Mayerline Rivas, but I still feel like underneath it all, Ellie is the better boxer. In truth, I feel like the more dangerous opponents for Ellie, they're not the champions, they're the challengers and contenders like Nazarena Romero right there at 122, Bree Howling campaigning anywhere in between 122 and 118, Canada's own Bree Howling. I feel like these would be more challenging fights for Ellie Scotney than unifying titles, but alas,
there's nothing for Ellie to gain at this time in fighting those fighters. So in all likelihood, unifications are on the horizon, unifying this division, and I can't complain.
I expect to see Ellie Scotney back in the ring in the fall or winter months.
In a unification match.
In men's lightweight and super lightweight news, Haney to make junior welterweight debut versus Regis Prograis. We know this is a fight that's been talked about for some weeks now on the heels of Devin Haney's dubious win over Vasyl Lomachenko. He's looking to move upstairs.
Caveat is he wants to stay WBC champion at lightweight at the same time.
Haney, 24, retained his undisputed lightweight titles with a unanimous decision over future Hall of Famer Vasyl Lomachenko in May. The bout was the last of Haney's three-fight deal with Top Rank. Now Haney will return to Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Boxing, which promoted 6 of the Americans' fights on DAZN.
You know, ahead of that fight, I stated that it would have been more favorable for Top Rank as a promotional outfit if Vasyl Lomachenko had won the fight, because then he could go straight into a match with Shakur Stevenson, yet another fighter they're invested in.
It's not what happened. For whatever reason, the judges scored the fight for Devin Haney, much to the chagrin of the audience in attendance and the boxing fans at home who watched in disarray as Devin was given a decision most felt he didn't deserve.
I didn't understand it.
Still don't. As far as I'm concerned, that was a robbery, and nobody can convince me of otherwise. In any event, it doesn't seem to have favored Top Rank.
Nope.
Haney signed with Top Rank after his win over Joseph Diaz in order to pursue a fight with George Kambosos in Australia for the undisputed lightweight championship. Haney, who fights out of Las Vegas, defeated Kambosos in June of 2022 and then bested the Australian again in Melbourne with another decision in October. ESPN's number 9 pound-for-pound boxer Haney then made his pay-per-view debut opposite the ring Vasyl Lomachenko.
What a dubious decision.
You know, I half expected Devin to stay there. I half expected Devin to stay over there on the Top Rank side of things and make his way to a Teofimo Lopez fight. And when you really think about it, he could, if he wanted to. He could use his WBO Super Champion status to force a fight with Teofimo Lopez. Not that he has to, because immediately after Teofimo beat Josh Taylor, Teofimo called him out.
Devin is deciding to leave Top Rank for Matchroom instead.
Make of that what you will. Haney was given a Thursday deadline to inform the WBC of his plan going forward. A fight with Shakur Stevenson at lightweight or a bout with Prograis at 140. In his 140-pound debut, Haney will take on a dangerous southpaw puncher in Prograis, who is ESPN's number 3 rated junior welterweight. Prograis, 34 years old from New Orleans, became a 2-time champion at 140 with an 11th round knockout of Jose Zepeda in November. Prograis signed a 3-fight deal with Matchroom Boxing afterwards and went on to retain his title with a split decision over Danielito Zorrilla in a homecoming bout.
Seems that signing to Matchroom paid off. In just his second fight as a Matchroom fighter, he's fighting Devin Haney. That's a decent-sized fight. That's a high-profile fight.
Now Prograis will step up for the biggest fight of his career. His lone pro defeat came against Josh Taylor via majority decision in October of 2019, a title unification fight in London. Prograis rebounded with 4 consecutive TKO victories.
My thoughts.
When Regis Prograis decided to sign to Matchroom instead of Top Rank, he was lambasted for it in some circles. He was criticized, but time has proven him a shrewd businessman and a wise customer, because now that he's over there at Matchroom, he gets to fight Devin Haney. And you'll excuse me for saying so, that's a very winnable fight for Regis Prograis. I didn't forget how many punches Vasyl Lomachenko got through on Devin Haney with. And all it takes is one punch. One good shot from Regis Prograis, and he could lay Devin Haney out in what would be Devin's 140-pound debut. He's not acclimated to that weight.
That's why I'm not complaining.
Some might say that Devin Haney is avoiding Shakur Stevenson at 135. Others might say that he is avoiding Teofimo at 140, but he can't fight all these guys at the same time, and you'll excuse me for saying so, that fighting Regis Prograis, who's a far bigger puncher than anybody Devin has fought so far, that's no cakewalk.
That is not a light of touch.
Highlighting that Regis didn't look good against Danielito Zorrilla as a means to diminish him as a fighter, diminish him as a champion. Need I remind you that Teofimo didn't look good with Sandor Martin? The very next fight, he was back to looking like himself.
So I don't hold it against Regis that he didn't look all that good in his last fight. I'm okay with Prograis versus Haney. What I'm not okay with,
for some reason, Devin Haney is petitioning the WBC to hang on to his WBC title at lightweight while he makes his super lightweight debut, and that I'm not okay with. Don't hold up the division. Don't hold up the process for other fighters.
What's his rationale anyway? Why does he want to hang on to a title at a weight he may not campaign at anymore?
I think it's established that it's not exactly healthy for Devin Haney, who's very young and whose body is still growing. I think it's established that he really shouldn't be campaigning at lightweight anymore anyway, so why does he want to keep a belt there?
Leverage.
Perhaps he wants to stay a champion at 135 so that he could bring that belt to a potential Gervonta Davis fight.
Right.
Perhaps that is his rationale. Or perhaps he wants to hang on to that WBC title at 135 in the event he can't win Regis's at 140.
Maybe that's his rationale.
In any event, I think it is unethical to forego satisfying your mandatory challenger so you can campaign at a new weight while holding on to your belt at your old weight.
Just cough up the belt already.
Cough it up. If you're not about to fight Shakur Stevenson, your mandatory challenger who's waiting in the queue, if you're gonna move up, just move up and stay up there.
Got no problem with the Prograis fight. I like the Prograis fight just as much as I would have liked the Lopez fight. It's okay with me.
But I'm not okay with him hanging on to the green belt. I'm not okay with him holding the WBC title hostage while he campaigns at another weight. For what?
What are you doing?
If you fight Regis at 140 and you beat him, you can take the green belt over to a Lopez fight and make a unification match. Aren't you all but done at 135?
Perhaps I'm spending too much time on that particular detail. Perhaps I'm spending too much time on Devin petitioning to hang on to the green belt. Maybe he's just seeing if he can.
Look at this shit to get arrested, bro. Bro, I'm about to get arrested, bro. Hold on 1 second, bro. I want to see it. Send that to me. Hey, bro, I want to see it, bro. It's dumb. How come we see it? Hey, bro, this shit. We back on who? Security. Fuck that shit. What's wrong with them? We don't gotta watch that shit. Fuck that shit.
Hey, who got TMZ's number?
I ain't nothing to watch.
Oh, they behind the bus.
Bro,
He threw a chancla somewhere, man.
That's the big one, bro.
Oh, that's the one that
Man, he's trying to do it for the cameras.
No, that's the one that haven't been fighting.
Oh, he pushed the security guard.
Leave him alone, everybody. Just leave him alone. Right. Let him walk.
Get some! Did you ever grab me by my motherfucking face like that again, boys?
Not completely sure what the hell's going on here. I'm not sure why Jermall Charlo seems to be doing anything and everything he can, but actually fighting, actually defending his WBC title that the WBC is allowing him to hang on to for an undisclosed amount of time. Rumor has it that he got into a fight with his own brother.
When you see him in a parking lot on a rampage, the story is he got into a fight with Jermall. I don't know how true that is or isn't, but that's the story.
And I don't know if that was before or after he got into an altercation with former IBF super middleweight champion Caleb Plant, who placed an open hand slap.
Slapped the shit out of Jermall.
You can hear Caleb Plant saying that Jermall put his hands on his face and not to ever do that again. I don't know in what sequence, what chronological sequence all of these events unfolded, but one thing is clear.
Jermall's coming apart at the seams. This is what his career has been reduced to. This was once a highly touted fighter, highly touted champion at junior middleweight.
Some feel that the melee with Caleb Plant was staged, that they're just setting up the promotion for what's supposed to be Charlo versus Plant later on this year, but that doesn't explain the separate melee in the parking lot.
That doesn't explain the preliminary reports and rumors that he got into a fight with his brother, and Jermall is not above getting into fights with his brother. You will remember that the year the pandemic hit in 2020, they had a falling out. They were at each other's throats.
Things got nasty between them, and that's when Jermall Charlo exposed that Jermall was offered the Canelo fight, and Jermall turned it down. He, in his own words, would have never done that, you will recall.
So I don't know if this is just another arm of promotion for the PBC to set the stage for a Caleb Plant fight who so clearly planted an open hand slap on Jermall Charlo's face.
He didn't do shit about it. That's not the first time we've seen that. Remember, he got into an altercation with David Benavidez in the crowd. I forget at what fight, but he ran behind security when it happened. And I remember he got into another altercation with former Unified Junior Middleweight champion Jarrett Hurd, and it was the same deal. Same kind of situation.
This is in keeping with what we've been seeing from a very much inebriated Jermall Charlo the last 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure that this is promotion at all.
Could just be him further coming apart at the seams, unhinged and under the influence. That Jermall Charlo even has supporters. That a fighter who hasn't fought in 2 years, going on 3, holding a title hostage.
Even if it is just a small contingent, a substrata of individuals that go up to bat for him, remember, Jermall is one of the names they like to pester Canelo Alvarez with. One of the names they like to badger him over. This guy
Seems more like just vagrants celebrating his vagrancy, degenerates celebrating his degeneracy.
degenerate behavior.
Like they did with Adrian Broner for years in his obvious downward spiral. They are now doing that with Jermall, celebrating this toxic behavior, this dysfunction.
Dysfunctional people celebrating other dysfunctional people. I think that's why they identify with Jermall so much. They see a piece of themselves in him, but not when he's in the boxing ring and when he's winning and performing at his best. They see the loser in him that they see in themselves.
The alcoholic, the substance abuser, and the man-child. There are very few redeemable qualities about today's Jermall Charlo, yet in spite of that, there is a small contingent that seems to really like him.
Losers celebrating another loser.
How else can you explain it? Even more puzzling is that the WBC is allowing Jermall, given all these fiascos he's been getting in the last 3 years, dining and dashing at some diner without paying.
Some supposed injury that has kept him out of the ring.
His wife, now ex-wife, did specify at or around that time that Jermall would never box again, that he's flat fucking broke and his boxing career is over. That's what she said. We talked about it here on the channel. It appears like more and more
She's right.
time is proving her right, because this year we're about, what, 7?
We're about 7 months into this year. This guy's got no fight date. And what we do know is he turned down a Canelo fight. He passed on it because he wouldn't be ready. Think about that. You can't cash out?
You're saying you're not even in any condition to cash out against the face of boxing. Just go in there, lay down, and get your check.
Your career is as good as over.